Production.
We're looking at Rivn here. We're doing a technical analysis breakdown. I'm going to try to make this as short and concise as possible. Rivn stock IPOs. When stocks IPO, they IPO at their peak valuation. That's when insiders can sell and get the fuck out. People who hopped in at like $1 billion valuation, and then Rivn goes and IPOs and they reach like $150 billion in valuation. You get insider selling. That's what this causes, right? That's why you see this downtrend, massive downtrend. So the stock has this clear downtrend, right? It's very straightforward. You have highs, and then it makes a low, right? But then it makes a lower high, right? You see here, it makes a lower high. And then it makes a lower low. It's very simple, right? So that's a downtrend, right? The characteristics of a downtrend are the opposite of an uptrend. Uptrends have higher highs and higher lows. You need to be able to distinguish this. We identify the downtrend. When does the downtrend end? The downtrend ends when those characteristics are no longer true, right? So if we're looking at Rivn, it makes another lower high here. We would expect it to make a lower low, but it doesn't. It makes a higher low. Now is when everything becomes interesting for me when I'm looking at Rivn, because now the characteristics have officially changed. And now, again, you have to look at the volume as well. So we go down from the high 95%, right? Let's mark that out. Go down 95%. We get a massive rally off of the low, okay? Massive rally, hit a resistance level, and we retrace and create that higher low, right? It's pretty interesting. We need to be able to see this, identify this. Your eyes should be alert to this. Look at the volume coming in when we make this low. We make the low, slow rally, boom, huge volume coming in. In fact, it's the largest volume ever in the stock's history. What is that telling you? Somebody, whether it's an institution, a hedge fund, maybe it's a whale, somebody bought into this stock, some entity, and they bought a fuck ton of it. Very interesting how they buy a lot of it after the stock is down over 90%. Okay? Somebody's positioning themselves. That's what that's telling you. Somebody is positioning themselves in this stock. So we continue to make that higher low. And as you look, right, as you see here, there's large bullish volume coming into the stock, and it happens right around each higher low. Are you seeing that? Every time we make another higher low, the volume comes in. Let me just mark these out and then I'll point it out for you. So here, higher low, large bullish volume. Higher low, large bullish volume. See what I'm seeing? Every time a higher low is being created, some entity is stepping in and buying Rivn. That is telling you demand is picking up. Another thing you could tell, how else can you tell besides the volume? Well, look, the stock's making higher lows. That's telling you that the demand is picking up. Now we're making higher lows into a resistance level, right? We come in, get stuffed. We get stuffed here. We get stuffed here. Look, we finally get that breakout. What is happening though? Fundamentally, what's happening? The amount of shares at this price, $16, call it 17. The amount of shares at 17, there's not enough buyers to eat up all of the available shares at this price. Okay? So the best way for me to describe this to you is to, let's say, right around this price from $17 to $18, right? This box here. Let's say in this box, this resistance level, let's say there's 1,000,000 shares here. Every time we go up into this price level, right, 17 to 18, some of that million shares gets eaten away. Okay, buyers come in and they take some off the table. So there's 1,000,000, we come up, now there's 900,000. Now there's 800,000. 6, 5, 4, 3. You get what I'm saying? We're eating up as many shares at this price as that we can. Buyers are trying to absorb all the supply at this price so that when there is no more supply and the demand is still there, the price will rocket. Okay, that's what's happening. So we're taking the time right here. The people are selling, but the stock is telling us, right? There's visual evidence that there's demand here. People want it. People want Rivn. People are buying Rivn. So what we're looking at is this kind of, you can call it an ascending triangle. That's the bigger pattern that's going on. So we have this ascending triangle. And our resistance, sure, let's call it this level right here. We're getting really close to that apex of this triangle. And what we're looking at, again, the volume's coming in. We're expecting this breakout move to the upside. Why are we expecting a move to the upside? Well, because the trend, the characteristics from this downtrend are no longer true. And we're starting to see signs of an uptrend from the higher lows being created. We just need this resistance level to break down. Once it breaks down, you're going to see that explosion in price until we find the next resistance. And that's where you're going to find the higher high, right? So again, here's an uptrend: low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Okay. If we are expecting Rivn's in an uptrend, what can we expect here? We could expect a higher high to be made. Well, where is that higher high going to be, dude? Like, how can you tell? Well, let's look left, right? We already have that resistance point at 22. We could assume the stock will stall at this price at some point. So we can mark it back. Let's see how many touches it has at this price. Quite a bit, right? So there's confluence in this area. We can mark it out right here, right? You could even maybe mark it down to around this area, something like that. Okay, so there's confluence. We've been at this level before. There's going to be some shares here that are outstanding, right? People are going to be selling over here, right? So when we get back up into this range, we could expect to stall. But now that we understand the characteristics of an uptrend and we understand technical analysis a little bit further, we can expect that when we get that move, we're looking for another higher low because we're in an uptrend. Then we eat up all the supply at this level, and then we get another explosive move to the next resistance zone, and that's here. So this is the thesis on Rivn. This is what I'm looking at from a technical perspective, and this is what's telling me that the stock is going to go higher. It's the characteristics that the stock is showing us, right? What's happening, what technical analysis is, you're just reading the body language of the market. You're reading the body language of the money, okay? Again, don't look at this chart as, oh, look, it's just candles on a... Nah, bro. This is serious. This is dead serious. There is over $20 billion in this chart. If you understand how to read it, you could extract some of that value. So I hope this video helps when you're trying to understand, like, breaking down technicals and how it can help you. I'm not saying it's a guarantee that the stock's price is going higher. I'm just following what the market is telling me. And the market is always right. It's the people who play the market that get it wrong sometimes. So sometimes all you need to do is just follow the trend, man. The trend right now is telling me that Rivn wants to go higher. Until it tells me otherwise, I'm bullish.